Welcome to the revival of the Corporate Gamer broadcast. I am your host, Corporate Gamer. Um, After a 2 year absence, a year and a half absence, August 2017, I believe, was it's more than 2 years actually. Hey, Coinop, how's it going? After 2 years, I am starting to do my own podcast again. I used to have an audio podcast only that lasted about 6 months. I had 24 episodes under the belt. This would be my 25th. And I wanted to do something with my Twitch. At the time, I was testing out new things and I wanted to do, uh, you know, different test different things, and I was also testing out how OBS would work, and at the time I was only audio, so it was to upload to iTunes and have a do a sign up with SoundCloud so I can upload and stuff like that. And I just decided it was a little bit too much work for what it was worth. I didn't have that much of a um, following at the time. I had like I would get like maybe 10 downloads a month on my iTunes. So I decided um, to just do this again. I have my channel on Twitch has grown, and I have a tendency of talking during my Twitch streams sometimes, and I talk on certain topics, and I figured, it'd be nice to actually have a time where I can actually speak about various topics in either gaming, entertainment, TV, whatever the case may be, whatever I feel that like this week or any other week. In this my initial episode, it'll be more of a gaming centric type of episode. I haven't done one in a long time, so forgive me about the technical stuff. I haven't really polished everything out yet, but I am trying my best um, to try and see if how things will work. Before I continue, I wanted to say thank you to whoever is hosting me: Big Bad Bizarre Gaming, Overrider, Wasteland Ruckus, Engineering Gaming Nerd, Psychosis, Angry Gorilla, Mr. Garp 1988, Gallows Adler, and Got to Choose. Thank you so much for the hosts, and also CoinOp for passing by and watching the stream on my reboot of the podcast. So I was initially supposed to have these go in one after the other as I press a button. Unfortunately, that didn't work out because I was working on different things. However, um, this is going to be what we're going to be talking about. So, normally, the way that I structured my podcasts in the past, I always had an introduction of some sort to kind of what I was playing, what I've played during the week, what I've watched in terms of movies, what I've actually been doing, right? So there's a bit of an introduction. Um, I'm going to go through a trailer of the week since this is a video podcast, or I can Switchy. Thank you for the host. Since it's a visual medium now, I'm on Twitch. I can do a trailer of the week, and I can watch it with you. And the first one we're going to be doing this week is The Outer Worlds. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get, bleeped for this or not, or, muted or whatever. I don't know. We're going to try it. We'll see how it goes. Um, hey, Switch. How's it going? Just going through the rundown of what I'm going to be probably talking about during the podcast or netcasts. Oh, sweet. That's awesome. Hopefully, I don't get you to crash because that would be bad. Yeah, so the first thing we're going to be looking at is the trailer of the week, which is The Outer Worlds, which is a game that is made by Obsidian Entertainment. And if you're not sure who that is, they are the ones that kind of probably made the, according to many the most popular Fallout game, which is Fallout New Vegas. And even on top of that, sorry for that, they also, two of the original creators of the original Fallout games, Fallout 1 and Fallout 2, are writers and producers on this particular game as well. So it looks pretty cool. I'm going to be looking at the trailer with you guys, and we're going to go see, and we're going to see how it goes. I'm going to talk about Google Stadia. I know that I'm late to the party, but um, everybody and their grandmother has made a video about Google Stadia, and I wanted to give my point of view on why I particularly not going to get it. Yes, they did. Oh, they did a lot of different games, but the one that most people are going to recognize probably is the Fallout series. And that's why this game has more of a Fallout vibe more than a Knights of the Old Republic 2 vibe. But yes, you are right. And also, this is why I like doing the podcast and not just recording myself. I can chat with you guys, and I can actually interact with you guys. And if you guys have any questions, just let me know, and I will answer them as I can. I don't think I alerted I gave my alerts, or I put on my alerts for this, but I will turn them on eventually. It's just I didn't have time. So we're gonna go through Google Stadia. I'm gonna talk about Ninja and Mixer. Again, I'm late to the party for this, but it seems that everybody was kind of at one point was on the let's leave Twitch bandwagon, and it seems to have cooled off a little bit. Um, sure, coin up. Thanks for passing by. Um, oh yeah, for sure. Um, you can you can I'll probably do interviews at one point, or I'll get other people to come onto the stream, and once I work out Discord and how to get the video and how to cut them up and paste it. So at one point I will be doing that as well. Yeah, so Ninja and Mixer. So at one point everybody and their grandmother wanted to jump ship from Twitch to Mixer. Everybody knows that Ninja got a big sum of money to move over to Mixer, which is fine. And I'll get into it why I think it's fine. We're going to go into the game releases of the week. I used to do this before. I used to have a website, and it went down. However, I found another one that actually gives you the game releases for the actual week. So this will be the game releases from the 15th to the 21st. And then we're going to have a discussion, or I'm going to just talk about how it's become second nature now to have more than one console, and I guess it could include PC as well in there, per household. If you looked at 20 years ago, most people would either have to choose one. Like it was very rare that like if I would go back into time and say, okay, um, um, you know, people that had Super Nintendo, very few people had both the Super Nintendo and the Genesis, for example. Most people had one or the other. Very rarely did you have two. And nowadays it seems to be common nature or second nature to have an Xbox, have a PlayStation 5, have a Switch. I'm victim of that as well. I have in this console generation as well. I have an Xbox, which is my main gaming machine, and then I also have a Switch, which um, which it's I and there's reasons why I have it. It's not gathering dust or anything. I do have a valid reason to have it. Unfortunately, it's not really a full on console in my nature. It's just missing a little bit of that little bit, and I'll get a little into it a little bit later on why I think it's a little bit lagging behind. Especially this week, we have um, this week or last week there was The Witcher that got released, or at one point, Witcher got released um, for the Switch, and it had to make compromises. And it's 2019. The game came out in 2015. It's 4 years. You would figure that they would have, it would be a little bit better, and it kind of is. Anyways, although I played it on the Xbox One and it was beautiful, and I'm assuming if you played on the upscaled version, I think it's an Xbox enhanced game. I'm not sure, but Yeah, we'll get into that as well. And my gaming review that I'm doing is it's a little going to be a little bit different. If you guys watch my streams, you'll know that I've had the discussion in my streams where I discuss Metro Exodus and Wolfenstein Youngblood and why I find they're very similar games, just that the execution of both was kind of one was done really well and the other was done kind of in a lackluster way. But I wanted to get a little bit more into it and discuss it a little bit more. So it's not a full-on game review like Metro Exodus. I'm going to give a full review of it, um, but it's going to be a comparison between Metro Exodus and Wolfenstein Youngblood. So all right, let's get into it. All right, so the first thing we're going to go into is there we go. Yay! Like, so here is my screen. So the first thing we're going to be looking into is the trailer for The Outer World, which got released. I don't know when. I don't remember when exactly. I think it was this week or last week. However, having said that, let's watch the. Let's hope it's not too loud. Oh, I'm pressing the wrong thing. There we go.
Look who it is. The stranger that came out of nowhere and now has everyone talking. Some people want you to be a savior, a shining beacon of hope. Those people clearly haven't met you yet. Here we go!
So, what can I get you? Some soap? Everyone loves soap.
Remember, no matter what happens out here, it'll all be your fault. Good luck.
October 25th. Alright, so that was the trailer for The Outer Worlds. Actually looks kind of better than it did at is it E3 2 years ago? I don't remember the last time I saw footage, but it looked kind of wonky. It kind of looks like a Fallout vibe, but with a futuristic twist to it, like kind of Borderlands or Bioshock kind of look to it. It looks pretty cool actually, and that's probably the next game I would be playing because it's just fun. It looks fun. I've been wanting to play this for a while. Um, the game itself is by Obsidian Entertainment. The publisher is Private Division. The directors are by Tim Kaine and Leonard Boyarsky. And as I mentioned before, they are both founders or the original creators, or part of the team that did the original creation of Fallout and Fallout 2. And it's Obsidian Entertainment, which also were the ones that not kind of, they did Fallout New Vegas, and as Switchy mentioned, they also Knights of the Old Republic 2. So it looks pretty good. It's going to be released on Windows, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the Nintendo Switch. I don't know why every time I see, Nintendo Switch, I always think that it's going to be a shittier version out of the box, and it's a bad thing to think. It's a good little machine. It's a good portable. Technically, out of a portable, it's the best one out there. but it just lacks that power to really play those AAA games the way it should be. A lot of games are there's a compromise that happens where you have to sacrifice looking at the game, the look of the game, or whatever, and it's kind of it's a shame. Although I have to admit, Wolfenstein they optimized it really well for Wolfenstein 2. Um, Switch, Switch, um, um, Witcher 3. Yes, the Switcher series. The Witcher 3 kind of looks. It's a shame because it looks. Eh, they had to make some compromises, and it kind of because I think in on if you dock it, it's at 720p, but when you undock it, it's at 520, I think, or five something. It's a lot lower resolution. I don't know. I don't own it. I don't think I'm gonna own it. I don't want to own it actually. Only because um, you know I already have it on my Xbox, and I don't really have any need to buy it again. It's a great game. Soundtrack is phenomenal. I think it's one of the best soundtracks of any modern game in recent history. Um, Sorry for that. So yeah, I just I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna buy it. So back to Outer Worlds. So the game looks pretty sweet. It looks like it's gonna have similar mechanics. I'm not gonna go get into the plot or whatever maybe. However, the release date is October 25th. The Nintendo Switch one is to be announced. So it's role playing. So I'm assuming it's going to be similar to a Fallout or whatever. And this, I saw an interview with Tim Kaine. I think it was Tim. Yeah, it was Tim Kaine and some of the original creators um, of Fallout. And one of their original, the idea for Fallout didn't even start out as Fallout. It was something along the lines where I would have to find the interview again, but it's along the lines of trying to it's some spaceship goes into the atmosphere, crash lands, and they needed to find something. Anyways, this seems to be something. I know I expressed it really really badly, but I have to find the interview. However, this game looks very similar to what they initially had visioned for Fallout, and also they're not big fans of the direction that Fallout has gone into. They find that it lost a lot of its lore. Um, I kind of agree with Fallout 4 and Fallout 76. However, with Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3, it was really really good. I truly enjoyed both of them. Like I mentioned on my streams, have a soft spot for um, I have a bleh, soft spot for Fallout 3. I find it's the perfect game in terms of length, in terms of world. It's long. It's a long game, but it's not uber long. They made Fallout 4 big. They made 76 even bigger. Like The Witcher is insanely huge for no apparent reason. It just the map is all over the place. Red Dead 2 is the same thing. It's huge. It's those games that you invest in. You have to invest so many long hours. It's a shame that um, they just they keep making the games bigger and bigger and bigger because as you're making your games bigger, bigger and bigger, you have less time to play the smaller games that come out or that fall under the radar. So that's kind of a shame. So that was the Outer Worlds. Let me know if you guys are looking forward to playing Outer Worlds. There's also Outer Wilds, which is a much different game. Um, which I looked at the preview for that, and I was like, either you like it or you don't. Outer Wilds. But we can discuss that another time. But let me know if you guys are looking forward to Outer Worlds, and if you guys are going to be playing it. I know I will. So right now I'm currently playing Bioshock, the first one. So I'm probably going to finish the first Bioshock, jump into Outer Worlds, and then after that I'll continue with Bioshock 2 and Infinite. But so far, I've been truly, really liking Bioshock. It's a really fun game, and surprisingly holds really well. I know I'm playing the uh, compilation that they created. So you like I think I bought it for like $40 or whatever, and you get all three games, all the DLCs and everything, which is pretty sweet. Um, so it's kind of a remastered version, but it still holds up really well. The controls hold up really well. Um, it's surprising how much they figured the controls before everyone. Even I played Witcher 3. I found the controls to be eh. Um, um, you know, Assassin's Creed, Odyssey did it well. Origins did it well, but they're newer games. But anything that's kind of like when the Xbox first got released, it's kind of it's weird. It's they're almost there, but it's not quite there, and they did a really good job um, of doing that. So awesome. All right, next on the list, boom, Google Stadia, the Google console without a console. So, in case you are a gamer and you've been living under a rock, I'm sure you've heard about Google Stadia, which is basically Google's attempt to the gaming space, play with cloud computing. Basically, the games are going to be played in the cloud. You're going to have a wireless controller, and that's going to be you're going to be able to play through any device that connects to the internet. Of course, assuming you got the proper internet speed, which is a downside, which I'm going to get into. Yeah, a fantasy is what it is. Yes. Hey, Psych, how's it going? Um, so, was I ever on board with Google Stadia? My honest opinion, no. I didn't know anybody. I didn't. Not too bad. I'm doing my return to podcasting. um, Working out the kinks and getting more comfortable. But yeah, I'm. It's the return of the Corporate Gamer podcast. This is episode 25. Going to work. Tech isn't available for this. Work consistently. Well, that's the thing. So, did I ever want to play this out of the box? The answer is no. I'm still an old school guy where I still really enjoy having the physical copy. Um, it's really, really cool. The thing is, it's not that it's not going to work, and I really truly hope that, hey, Death, um, I really hope that, at one point it will work. And I think it's not a Google that's going to make it work. It's going to be a company like Microsoft or PlayStation, or an established gaming company is going to make this work, and it's not going to be Google. Um, well, so this isn't a new idea. The idea of playing in the cloud existed before. If you guys remember, I think it was around 2009. You had OnLive, which the whole idea of OnLive was that you were able to play on the cloud. You had a little machine that you were able to plug in, and basically you were playing on the cloud. That never really worked. It died pretty much a few years later. It didn't. It never gained any momentum. Um, yeah, it was a super fail. Uh, now the idea and the selling point for this game is the fact that you're supposed to be able to play on anybody's machine. So if you have a PC, you can have, you don't have to have a high-end machine. However, like, anyways, I'll get into it. So if you don't you don't need a high-end machine. All you need um, is a phone, a tablet, anything. As long as you can connect to the internet, you can play this. You can play AAA games like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and voila. Um, So I don't know if that's really gonna. So that's what they were promising. They did a few demos. Demos look good, but after oh, it's all good, man. It's all good. Um, so they went to E3. They demoed it. Worked fine. After the fact, it got leaked that they had their own private network, high speed network, that they used to showcase it, which is it is what it is. Then so people were like, and then they came out with the tech specs, and I think the tech specs are so according to the tech specs, Stadia will require at least 10 megabits download. I don't remember if it's download or upload. I'm assuming it's download and or no upload. I'm assuming for 720p 60 frames per second with stereo, 20 megabits for 1080p HDR video 60 FPS for 60 frames per second 5.1 surround sound, and 35 megabits for 4K HDR video 60 frames per second 5.1 surround. This is great if you work if you live in a big city. So if you live, and even then that would be challenging. Um, yeah, but it's a selling point, right? So they're gonna try and see, um, and even then, I'm gonna get into the pricing of the whole thing because to me it's a little bit ridiculous. So in terms of speed, not everyone has access to the speed. You can probably get this if you have high speed internet within a city. Um, if you can, it would be within a city. If not, if you live in the rural areas, I'm sorry, but this is really not going to work for you. I know other people have said the same thing, but as an IT guy myself, this is never going to work. And on top of that, what I find a shame is they're kind of misleading the population a little bit. Uh, what I'm they're misleading the population in a little bit in the sense that they're saying you can play this on any device, a low end PC. But at the end of the day, you still need a processor that can process the data. So if you have a weak processor, it's not going to work. You're going to have problems. So yes, I agree that you can probably have lower end than a gaming PC or the lower end part of that, but you can't have a shitty like I don't see this working on a MacBook Air or at least like a couple of years ago MacBook Air, right? Um, it works better from Xbox to PC. It works a lot better than people think, but yes, I agree. It's not that great. Then you have the pricing, which is insane. So the way they're releasing this is you have um, they don't say the pricing here. They only say that it's 129, but there's going to be there's a founders edition which comes with a controller. um, I don't think they mention it here. Yeah. So in any case, there's a founders edition, and then you can buy the controller separately, and you'll be able to. Already, that's expensive. $130 for whatever. Plus, you have to pay for a pro service. They're making insane. So initially, they were saying you don't have to buy any game. You don't own any game. No, sorry. You had to pay full price for the game. Plus the monthly fee, yeah. There's a free version, I think, that it's like super low end. And then you have a paid version, I think it's $9.99 a month. And then you have one that's 20, I think if you have Pro or something, it's a little bit more. Then initially, you were playing for the full price, plus you were playing for the full price of the game, which is insane. So you're paying for basically you're paying the service for keeping the servers up, I guess, which I find it odd. And where I find Stadia will fail, and where services like Xbox Game Pass are gonna work, is you have a with Game Pass, which I own and I have. Granted, you have to download the game. I'll give you that. It's not you're not playing in the cloud. However, the pricing model is perfect. You're paying whatever the case may be. I'm just going to assume you're paying only for the Xbox version of it, but you can get the I think for the same price you can get the ultimate package, which you also have Game Pass for PC. So you pay per month um, a fee. Yes, you don't own the game, but you have a library of games that you have access to, and you can play at any time. Case in point, I can play for free. I played Observer, Thief of Thieves. I've played. I can play the 5 Gears of War, Fallout's the full the Game of the Year editions, Witcher, Wolfenstein 1 and 2. There's a lot there that I can play. Yes, I don't own them, but if you're strapped for cash a little bit, paying that $9.99 a month to play those AAA games on the Xbox or PC is amazing. And I think that's the way it's going to go. Unfortunately, Stadia kind of went the route of you pay the per month fee, which is going to go towards like keeping the servers up, but you're going to pay full price for the game. And then they weren't even sure initially that you couldn't keep the game. So if and again, one of the main reasons why I'm not a big fan of Google, they have a tendency of killing anything they release. Especially a couple of years after it doesn't work, boom, they kill it. They did that with so many services. Even now, I have Google Music, and even that's on the edge. They're going to be using YouTube Music at one point. They haven't fully transitioned. However, they haven't even figured out how to transfer my playlists over, so we'll see how that goes. But Google Music is another one that's going to die. It's going to become YouTube Music. So do I have confidence that this is going to last a long time? Well, I used to love Songza, which is what I was subscribed to. Then Google bought Songza for um, the concierge service, and to this day, it's still really, really good. And I actually do like the app, at least on the iPhone. I do really love the app on the iPhone. It's it's slick. It's simple. It's the one thing that Google does really, really well. It's very simple. So there's no, you're not, um, um, you're there's nothing complicated there. It's it's a clean interface. But again, not everything is on there. So there's a lot of music that's not on Google Music. Now I also have, or I had about roughly about 4,000 CDs spanning 15 20 years. So I uploaded it. So to me, it was a way to upload my music to the cloud. Is it gonna stay there? What happens if this service goes dead? But that's the thing. So Apple, it's their bread and butter, right? You have their PC model, and then they have you know their music, iTunes. iTunes is massive fucking bloatware from the what it was initially to what it is now. It's a monster. Even to run on a Mac, it's insanely huge. Um, so using iTunes for that, but they had the right idea, um, and it's been working. No, it doesn't. It's only, anyways. regardless of that, um, going back to Google Stadia, um, I have a feeling that they're. I don't know if it's the service is going to last that long. It's one of those things where I think everyone's going to be waiting for it, and everybody that I follow, pretty much on YouTube or anywhere. So, um, Metal Jesus Rocks. Uh, I don't think Review Tech USA bought it. He just flat out said he wasn't going to get it. Um, another one of the Metal Jesus crew members as well. He had bought it day one, or he bought an advanced order and he canceled it. A lot of people canceled it. I don't know why you would have paid for it, but for gamers, for older gamers, I think it's going to be it's a sad time as you're seeing more and more digital downloads and less and less hardware. I am still of the opinion I like to hold a physical copy. And it's amazing. I match my shirt, my hat, and my games. um, um, I like to hold a physical copy. And the reason for that is, for example, Fallout. Let's say you play Fallout, and it's on Game Pass, and then one day it's not. How do you play it? There's no way of getting it. That's why I like the physical copy. But it's getting less and less. And if it's a game I really, really like, I'm gonna play. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna buy the physical copy. The last physical copy that I bought on Xbox One, I think, was Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And the only other gaming, well, that's on the Xbox. On the Switch, I buy all the physical copies because if you download, you have no more space. Because it has a hard drive that's about the size of a chip. So, a potato chip. Real Life Dinosaur, thank you for the host. Really appreciate it. Um, so, yeah, am I a fan of Google Stadia? No. Do I think it's actually going to work? I'm on the hesitant side. I would really love for it to work. I just, I don't know, man. I can't justify the price. If I have to pay a service plus pay the games, now what's the point? What's the added value to me? I might as well just buy myself a console or the PC, or play on my PC and just download the game. Um, and I don't even know if the games are the console game versions of the games or the PC versions of the games, because sometimes they kind of they differ. So here's the list of games that are initially coming out. So you do have some pretty big names on here. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Marvel's Avengers, Baldur's Gate 3, Borderlands 3, The Crew 2, Cyberpunk 2077, which I am buying day one. Although, I don't know why they had a year to pre-order Cyberpunk 2077. That is insane. I would never pre-order anything that old. Especially the fact that all we had was a cutscene. Looked spectacular, but again, it was just that. Darksiders Genesis, which is another Darksiders game apparently, which is a prequel with the Last Horseman, which is coming out. I don't know when actually. I think it's coming out later this year. Destiny 2, Destroy All Humans. Tom Clancy's The Division 2, Doom, which is the 2016 version. Doom Eternal coming out later this year, or next year actually, 20th of March 2020. That's the original. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, Elder Scrolls Online, Farming Simulator 19, because nothing says working the farmlands like playing a simulator on your Xbox. A lot of these simulator games, I have no clue other than is this Goat Simulator, which was like just a funny game. There's Trucking Simulator, Farming Simulator. Pretty soon there's gonna be taking a shit simulator. Like it's gonna be really bad. Final Fantasy 15, Football Manager 2020, Get Packed. I have no clue what that is. Tom Clancy's Recon Breakpoint, Gods and Monsters, Grid, Just Dance 2020, Kine, Metro Exodus, Mortal Kombat 11. Like even Mortal Kombat 11, where you have to play it's split second. Um, You know what? There's people that keep in mind that this is not only for North America, right? It's across the world. Final Fantasy, there's players that have a hard on for Final Fantasy. They'll play anything. I'm not personally a big fan of Final Fantasy. The last one I think I played was on the original on NES, but like people that have been wanting remakes of Final Fantasy 7 and 10 and whatever. I know, I know, but I mean, uh, coming back to Mortal Kombat, when you're playing a game that's split second, accuracy determines if you win or lose, or if you get a hit or not. Um, Lag is going to be a big factor. So for any fighting game, it's going to be insane. Even Metro Exodus, if you can't react right away when there's monsters around you, then what's the point, right? So yeah, NBA 2K20, Orcs Must Die, Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, Rage 2, Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah, that's gonna work. It's super graphics intense. That game is gonna fucking tank. Samurai Showdown, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Super Hot. I don't even know what that is. Thumper, Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, Trials Rising, Untitled Q Games game. Okay. Watch Dogs Legion, Windjammers, Wolfenstein Youngblood. Hey, which I'm going to review a little bit later on. Um, so yeah, this is what it is. These are the games that are going to be available, I'm assuming, as of day one or when it becomes available. And yeah, there's AAA titles here. Nothing really to run home about. Um, and I own most of these. I own Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I'm gonna own Cyber 2077. Doom I own. Um, I have the original Grid. This is the new one, right? Yeah, this is the new one, but I have the original one. So from what I saw from the reviews, it's not much different. And the first one apparently is better. So the original one. Yeah. So and I have the Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. So yeah. My honest opinion is I don't like to trash anything until it comes out, and we'll see how it works. Unfortunately, there's too many variables to lead it to potentially fail. Um, and Google is not exactly known to stay with the part of the course when something is not exactly going well. So when you factor all of that in, I'm not going to invest in a system. I I know I'm in the minority. I have an Xbox One, and it's the only game console I really have between the Xbox and the PlayStation. I don't have the PlayStation. I decided to go Xbox. That was in the ecosystem. I really love the 360, and I always like the interface on the Xbox better. And I also really like, and I'm one of the few. I really like the controller for the Xbox. I can never get used to the PlayStation controller, but I always got like because I the thumbstick, the left thumbstick just doesn't. This one over here. It's just placed perfectly for my thumbs, and I have small hands, and I got small fat hands. So for me, it works really really well. The general or whatever the original controller was on the original Xbox was horrendous. It used to be so huge. I think you had to be a basketball player to freaking like to play or a giant to freaking grab the thing. But since the Xbox 360, it's to me it's a perfect controller. It does everything properly. I know where everything is. The buttons are just they just work, and I think most of the games have utilized it and they made it work really really well. So yeah. Um, so that's it for Google Stadia. Let me know if you guys. Well, obviously you guys don't seem to be very big fans from what I can read. You guys think mostly it's going to fail. I am of the same opinion, but we'll let things go. We'll see how it works. We'll really know how it is when it comes out, and we'll see how many. I'm curious to see how many servers crash. To be honest, so we'll see how that works. Next topic. it'll probably be a short topic. I don't have much to talk about, but um, Ninja going to Mixer. This made the news this summer due to reasons. Also, there was controversy when. So, in case you guys don't know, Ninja is a personality on Twitch that made a lot of money and had a lot of followers playing Fortnite, which is a battle royale type of game. Um, and I was never a big fan of his. I did watch a couple of his streams. I don't. I'll be honest. I find some of the smaller streams better than him, and they have like 100, 100 followers. But hey, that's me. A lot of people liked him, so that's fine. He blew up when he started playing Fortnite. He used to play, I think, Halo before, and then he blew up playing Fortnite. Made it very very big. This year or earlier in the summer, he decided to move over to Mixer. Um, I'm thinking that Microsoft poached him to go onto their platform to promote Mixer. So assuming that so many people are following him, they would move over to Mixer, and then it would be a snowball effect. People would start going to Mixer because it's better. Um, However, there was controversy with that because he was moving over, everything was fine. However, Twitch was very salty about it, and there was this whole thing where on his old channel on Twitch they were putting porn, I think, on or porn type videos or whatever, and it hurt his brand. He came out saying he doesn't like that, and it's not who he is, and he condemned Twitch. Twitch came out saying he apologized, blah blah blah, half-ass thing. However, the meat of the whole thing is that Ninja went from Twitch to Mixer. When that happened, I saw a bunch of people going, "I'm going to Mixer." I've tried both systems. I tried Mixer before it was Mixer. I tried Mixer when it was Mixer. I forgot the name it was before. Not Boku. It was I forgot the name of it, but it was another name than Mixer. Then Microsoft changed the name. There are advantages on going to on Mixer, technology-wise, where I find Twitch kind of they're dragging their feet a little bit in terms of lag, in terms of responsiveness. It's really cool. However, there's no one on the platform. I streamed on there for. I used to stream between Mixer and Twitch for about a year, and by no means am I, you know, uh, blowing up here with followers, but I had more success with Twitch than I had with Mixer. Um, at least with Twitch, I get some people finding my stream ever so often. Whereas Mixer, you're dead in the water unless you know people that will watch you. It's hard to get followers, a lot harder. I guess you can promote on Twitter and stuff like that, but it's not as there's not as many people on that platform. Now that's what Microsoft is hoping to change by Ninja going to that. Now there were arguments on Twitter on both Ninja as a traitor, he's a sellout, and other people praising him, saying they would do the same. I'll be honest with you. If somebody came to see me and said, "Hey, we're gonna pay you a few $1 million to switch from one platform to the other," all right, sure, I'll switch. Why not? I have nothing to lose, and it's a challenge, right? The challenge is you're trying to improve or you're trying to get a platform to get bigger than it is. And to be honest, Twitch would need some competition. Yeah, I did try Mixer. I think I tried it. So it was another name before, and I had tried it. I was on that platform because I used to connect directly to that from my Xbox, and it worked a lot better than the Twitch app on the Xbox at the time. But then when I did my setup and I got my setup going, I got really um, um, I got like setting up and everything, and then it was a lot better for me, or a lot easier for me to stream on Twitch than it was on Mixer. Then I tried both to see, and to be honest, there's no one on Mixer. There are people, and there's people that really love them. They have quite a few viewers, and but I just don't find it's as easy as Twitch. Even Twitch needs there's a lot of improvements they need to do. I think their algorithm is bad. Um, I think that Twitch does it a little bit better. If Mixer ever grows to the levels of Twitch, they're going to run into the same problems as as Twitch. Having people spam. Nobody spams channels on Mixer. At least I don't think so. And if they do, why? There's no advantage to it. Um, and also, people were saying, oh, well, Ninja made a lot of money on Twitch because he probably got a lot of like, Prime subscriptions where you don't have that on Mixer. Um, so hey, creative dude, thank you for the host. Um, so having said that, I think that Ninja did the best thing that he could do. He's not a sellout. He's not whatever. It's a business move, and he went from one platform to the other. He had no ill will towards Twitch. Twitch was salty because they were losing one of their biggest guys. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm personally not a guy, and you guys can attest to this. I'm not a guy that likes to follow really big channels. The biggest channel that I follow, I'm pretty sure, is Kilgore Trout, where I started following when he was at 200 followers, and now he's ballooned up to 9,000. So, but I liked his streams and I like his game, so I'm not gonna stop following him. I just find it hard to follow the chat sometimes because the chat just keeps going, 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 going. I tried Mike Matai or Matei, and I wasn't a big fan of his. I like his content on Cinemassacre, but to watch him stream for long periods of time, I don't know. It's just not for me. And I like watching you guys, Psych, the real Death by Cows, Coin Op, Real Life Dinosaur, Switchy. Um, I like to watch you guys stream. I find you guys more interesting, 10 times more interesting, or 100 times more interesting than anything on those other channels for the most part. And then you have other channels where they broke the algorithm, where they know that if you spam the viewership, you go to on top of the the food chain, and you get more people passing by and subscribing and stuff like that. I mean, that's fine if you want to do that, but from my experience, that doesn't really do much. There's some channels I remember going to, they had like 100,000 views. They had over 15,000 channels. Avante as well, yes. How can I forget Avante? He's a subscriber to my channel. Awesome guy. And actually, a lot of you guys, my gateway to your channels was through Avante. Um, I saw Avante first, completely random. I don't even play League of Legends. It's not even a game that I play, but I decided to see like some hosts and stuff like that, and I ended up on his channel. And the time that I got stuck on his channel, and it made me a lifelong follower, is at one point we were looking at um, wrestling videos on his channel, funny like Ultimate Warrior and stuff like that, and had him. That was one of the best streams I ever was part of, and I've been a fan ever since. Real Life Dinosaur, same thing. Um, there's that whole group. There's different cliques, but I like it because it's a community. I think generally we're respectful of each other, for the most part. You guys are fun to hang around with, to chat. It's always been a treat. Um, so all in all, just that to say, I rather have that community. And I'm not saying you can't do that with Mixer. I'm sure there's some communities on Mixer and they're pro Mixer and everything's fine. I'm just not a big fan of Mixer at this moment in time. For me to move from Twitch to Mixer, it's not really a good move for me right now, and I'm not going to move just for the fact of moving. So, you know, So that was my thought process. Let me know what you guys think about Ninja. Are you guys a fan of his? Did you guys ever watch him on Mixer? Um, did you guys ever like him? Period. Let me know. All right, next game releases. Yeah, and I get so game releases for the week of October 15th to October 21st. So these are all games that are going to be. All right. Well, it's like PewDiePie. I'm not a big fan of PewDiePie. He has 100 million of subscribers on YouTube. I don't know why. Honestly, there's a lot of other channels that I would think would merit being. Hey, Gallows, how's it going? Um, I don't know. Um, there's channels on YouTube that I watch. And they're somewhat popular. I mean, they're above 100,000 subscribers, but I wish they would so blow up because they're so good. Like Metal Jesus Rocks, I love that channel. That is amazing. That crew is awesome. Um, Rich Review Tech USA. I don't always agree with him, but his he always has a good way of putting the facts when he says something. And if he's wrong, often he'll come back and do a second video a little bit later on saying I was wrong. And yeah, I'm just um, there's a lot of channels that I wish would be a lot bigger than they are, and I think they deserve to be a lot better, or have a lot more viewership. And then there's others where they have millions of followers, and I'm like, okay, I don't know why, but hey, if it works for you. I guess it's the same thing as TV, right? There's TV channels that you like and others you don't, or shows that you like and others don't. Um, so that's it. Back to the releases for the week. All right, so October 15th, Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition and Baldur's Gate 2 Enhanced Edition for the PS4, Switch, and Xbox One. And these, I believe, are on Game Pass on the Xbox. So that's good to know. Billy Bomber on the Switch, Shikara. Action Arcade Wrestling on PC. Children of Morta, PS4, Switch, and Xbox One. Disco Elysium. The Eyes of Ara on the Switch. The Fisherman, Fishing Planet, PS4 and Xbox One. Grandia HD Master. Icewind Dale Enhanced Edition. Just Ignore Them. The Ninja Saviors, Return of the Warriors. Outer Wilds for PS4, not to be mistaken with Outer Worlds, which will be released on the 25th. Override Mech City Brawl Supercharged Mega Edition. Overwatch Legendary Edition on the Switch. Planescape Torment plus Icewind Dale Enhanced Editions. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition on the Switch. And I saw some gameplay of that. It still looks, the soundtrack is still amazing. I would play that on a freaking Commodore 64 if I had to with the same soundtrack. It's amazing. But it looks, you do see there's a degradation in Icewind Dale Enhanced Edition for PS4, Switch, and Xbox One. Not PC, unfortunately. I think so, but I'm not sure. I'm just going through October 15th right now. So I'm going through the week of 15th to the 21st. WANs and Warzone VR. Yeah, so Witcher 3 is probably the biggest one on this list, with Baldur's Gate getting a remastered or getting an enhanced edition. The rest, you may have heard or you may be fans of. On the 16th of October, we had Angry Bunnies Colossal Carrot Crusade on the Switch, Draw a Stickman Epic 2 on the Xbox One and PS4, Little Town Hero on the Switch, and Screensavers VR on PC. Because I need to know those flying toaster, I don't even know what it is, but all I can picture is you being in a virtual reality where you have the flying toaster. And for those of us that are old enough, you'll remember that. All right, October 17th, we have Battle Planet Judgment Day on the Switch, Domiverse, Switch, Doors and Rooms on the PS4, Driven Out, PS4 and Xbox One, Felix the Ripper, PS4 and Switch, the Jackbox Party Pack 6 on PC, PS4, Switch and Xbox One, Kine on Switch, Miniature the Story Puzzle on Switch, Monkey King Hero is Back on PS4, Rabbi, Rabbi on Switch. I apologize if I mispronounced that. Sega Ages Columns 2, A Voyage Through Time on Switch. Sega Ages Ishident R on the Switch. Sea Salt on the Switch. Stranded Sails, Explorers of the Cursed Lands. PS4, Switch, Xbox One. Sub-Level Zero Redux on the Switch. Summer Sweetheart on the Switch. And last but not least on this date, Travis Strikes Back, No More Heroes, Complete Edition. And that was October 17th. Now for October 18th, Apex Legend Bloodhound Edition, Lifeline Edition, PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Digimon Stories Cyber Sleuth, Complete Edition on the Switch. Ice Age Scat's Nutty Adventure, PC, PS4, Switch, and Xbox One. Make Aquarium, PS4, Switch, and Xbox One. Like, the majority of these are all getting released on, like, all consoles. Pig Eat Ball, okay. PS4, Switch, Xbox One. Plants vs. Zombies, Battle for Neighborville, PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Return of the Obra Dinn, PS4, Switch, Xbox One. Ring Fit Adventure, Safari Pinball Star Blocks Inc. on the Switch. Werbital, PS4, Switch, and Xbox One. And Zik Square Switch. I don't know if there's any of them that actually... And on October 20th, there's one game that's getting released, Ultra Off-Road 2019, Alaska, for the Switch. There's not a ton here that actually grabs my attention. Baldur's Gate is a hard game. Witcher 3 I've played through already. You guys can check that in my collection series. That was a fun game. Took me 105 hours to finish the main game. I didn't do the DLC because I got fed up. But I will do the DLC at one point. And the DLC alone is like, I think 30 to 40 hours each. It's really some deep shit. And it's really good. I've looked at the story. I looked at a bit of the story. I looked at a few people streaming, and it's really, really cool. So, so those are the releases for the week. Let me know which games are piquing your interest, which ones are the ones that you would like to get, if you had the money, of course. Unlimited funds. All right, so the next topic is, I don't have anything for this, but it is having more than one console in a business. So it's a discussion piece. So basically, it's the idea that now it seems to be common for players to have a gaming PC, a PS4, an Xbox, and a Switch, or any two of those combinations. And you know, if I go back a long time ago, back when I had hair, that wasn't a thing. If you were in the 80s, obviously, if you were in the 80s, do I still have it out? No, I don't. I put it away. Oh yeah, I still have it. Give me a second. Yeah. So if you were in the 80s, you had this, which is the closest thing you'll ever get to a 2-in-1, legally anyways. Whoops, that fell. Is it this one? It was supposed to go in? I don't even remember. Oh, maybe it is this one. Oh, there we go. So this, and I've said this before numerous times, so I apologize if I'm repeating, but this was like the equivalent in the 1980s of having PS4 with an Xbox emulator or an Xbox One with a PS4 emulator, essentially. So you were able to play Atari games on a ColecoVision. So you automatically just got like you quadrupled your the number of games that you can play on one system. That's insane. You would never see that again today. And back then, you would have things like this where you would buy it and you would have one. But in general, you had, people had either a an Atari, a ColecoVision, maybe an Intellivision, but didn't have multiple consoles unless you were filthy rich, which could very well be. However, that wasn't the case. Same thing happened with the NES. Most people had the NES. Didn't really have anything else. They didn't have the Mega Drive. I think it was the Mega Drive, the equivalent. And then when there was the Super Nintendo and the Genesis, most people had one or the other. I was a Genesis kid. A lot of people had the Super Nintendo, right? But didn't have both. In most cases, you didn't have both. And I remember there used to be not this argument, but this back and forth with um, between people where it's like, oh, I want to have the Genesis. Do you have the Mortal Kombat with the blood? You can put the code for the blood. And Nintendo's like, no, we're family friendly. We don't have the blood code. Blah blah blah. Um, oh yeah, of course. You know, I never regretted having the Genesis. I really loved the Genesis. There was some quality games on that system. I played a crap of NHL '94 on that. Um, I never played the Super Nintendo version. I always played that one. NBA Jam was really cool. There were some games where the music was better on the Super NES than it was on the Genesis. But again, I was like, I played the crap out of Sonic. So I was a Genesis kid. I didn't have both. That only started being a thing when I had my 360. Towards the end of its lifespan, my brother got me a PlayStation 3, and I ended up having both. And it kind of worked out because I was looking for a DVD player, and the Xbox 360 lost the battle for HD DVD, and it didn't have any Blu-rays, so it ended up becoming my Blu-ray player. Um, but that's the only time I actually had both. Yes, the HD DVD drive. Um, but now, like, if you go on IGN forums, like Podcast Unlocked or with IGN or the Xbox thing, or you go to Beyond, you'll the majority of people have one or the other. They're a fan of one more than the other, but there's games on the other one that, yeah, um, very similar actually to Betamax. Most people listening here probably wouldn't know what Betamax is, but back, way back, way back in the very, very long time ago, back in the 80s, um, yeah, there was a battle for VHS tapes. So you had VHS and you had Betamax. And Betamax was the Sony equivalent, I believe, and VHS was, I don't remember. Anyways, they both battled it out, and same thing as Blu-ray. Um, um, the um, the Betamax lost to VHS, and VHS ended up winning. But Betamax had better quality video. You could record better quality. Even if you record on VHS higher quality, it wasn't as good as Betamax. Same thing with HD DVD and Blu-ray. Technically, HD DVD was technically superior in terms of the visuals. However, you could not store as much content on media. So, and because of a bunch of different things, Blu-ray won, and Blu-ray is still number one. The thing I found always stupid is that there was no Blu-ray player on the PS4, but there was one on the Xbox One. I don't remember. There's one machine that they forgot to put they didn't put Blu-ray, and I don't remember why. It was so stupid. Anyways, having said that, um, so it's only been recent where everybody seems to have that need to have both consoles, and a lot of people, friends and coworkers and stuff like that, they'll, oh, how can you play on the Xbox? There's no games. Really? Have you seen my streams? I've been playing constantly for the last 3 years on strictly Xbox. There's games out there, and there's a shit ton of it. And believe me, it's fine. Are there games that I'm missing out on? Sure. The Last of Us. This generation, I will be very honest, PlayStation 5 had the better exclusives. Nobody can ever deny that. However, you have, I'm in the Xbox ecosystem, and I like the ecosystem better on the Xbox than I do on the PlayStation. I always liked Xbox Live more. Um, that's my own personal preference. Some people like PS Now. That's fine. Um, I like the Game Pass. And Xbox improved a lot since launch of the Xbox One. Um, I bought through it. I just bought it because I'm an Xbox guy. Not a fanboy, but I do like the system better. I do like the controls better. But they did botch the launch of it with the Connect, um, connecting it with the Connect. I bought it a year later. They didn't have the Connect anymore, so I don't have it. They had, Game Pass came along. Although PS Now came out before, I think Game Pass did it right. And I'm loving it, to be honest. I have no complaints about it. Um, the Xbox Live with Gold. There's an equivalent on the PS5, PS5, PS4. But I've been downloading 2 games a month, 2 to 4 games a month, depending on the month, constantly for the last, what, I've had this 4 years now. I have hundreds and hundreds of games, even though if I never really play them, they're mine. I own them. I downloaded them. While I own them, I have them in my library, and I could download them anytime I want. And through that service, I ended up getting the Dead Space series, Dead Space 1, 2, and 3 for free. Um, at one point, Gears of War was free, I think. I have 1 and 2, I think. Shadow Complex, which is an underrated game. I got it for free. It's an old 360 game, but it was released to be backwards compatible. The backwards compatibility is awesome. There are games that I wish would be backwards compatible, and they're not. But beggars can be choosers. But at least they acknowledge that people like playing the old games. I just wish there were a little bit more games for the Xbox, the original Xbox. It's kind of slow going out the gate, and I know it's a different codec and architecture and everything, but it's a little slow out of the gate. But if I compare that with the Switch, well, the Switch, you have the NES and SNES apps to play the old games. They're not all on there, so it's a crapshoot what you get. Um, so all in all, if I look at what I prefer the Xbox. But it seems to not stop anybody or most people from buying a second console. And I can understand why somebody would buy the um, so what is it? Um, I could make an argument for why people would want a Switch and one of the major consoles, PlayStation or Xbox. Right? There's an argument to be made there. It's a handheld device. It's a really cool device. It's really nice. You can play AAA games on the go. And one of my buddies messaged me. He's like, "Whoever said that Witcher 3 was a good game to play on the go?" Not me. I know IGN said that. Certainly not me. Why the hell would you play Witcher 3 on the go? Like, if you have a 40-minute commute, that's it. You're done. You don't even get anything done. There's no point. So, unless your commute is 2 hours long, then maybe you can make some headway. But other than that, it's not really something that's worth it. Um, but this generation, to choose, if you have one, the only difference that would, the only thing that would make you sway to buy one console over the other, even previous generation, it was based on, did you want a Blu-ray player, and you got a game console on top of it for the price of like 300, right? 350. Wow, that's amazing. That was a good deal. Xbox, well, they benefited from having the better games. That was that generation. This generation, PlayStation has the better first party games. We'll grant you that. But most people would argue that the third party games all play better on the Xbox One X, which it sold quite a bit. I mean, it's not at the levels of PS4. PS4 sold over 100 million consoles. When this generation is done, um, Xbox will probably finish third, if not already, or unless they're already there. They're going to be third on the list of consoles. Um, but they did a lot of good things, it's not because I'm an Xbox fanboy or whatever. They did a lot of good things. I'm still playing on the original Xbox. I have an Xbox One S on in my other room that I use as a streaming device. Um, and to be honest, it still plays really, really well. I haven't had any issues with it. Um, I mean, if I wanted to, I could play. I couldn't put an external hard drive, which PlayStation you still couldn't until recently. Um, it's just a really, really good way um, of playing some third party games. They play better on the Xbox. Now, um, do you now the thing is, do we need to? The answer is no. Um, if you're just happy with the way that games are played, um, or the games that get released, or that you play one game and you stick with that one for a while, the console is fine. There's more than enough games on there to freaking last you forever. I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is a third-party game that plays on all consoles. But I have the Xbox, so I played it on the Xbox. It was beautiful. It was great. Lasted what, 80 hours? I'm good. That lasted me a while. I played The Witcher 3, which still looks phenomenal on an Xbox. I could just imagine an enhanced version of it. Yes, I'm doing a podcast. It's my podcast. Friday nights will be podcast night. Um, Reviving the Corporate Gamer podcast. So I'm going right now. I'm just talking about people having more than one console in their household, and how that's more of a recent phenomenon, more recent than people think. Um, you know, as I was saying, even 15 years ago or even 10 years ago, household having two consoles was kind of yeah, sure. Um, both People wouldn't have both consoles or multiple consoles in a house. Now, a lot of people that I see in the gaming community, yes, I will. I'll probably have guests at one point. Maybe not. This was the launching, but I probably wouldn't be right now. But I'm probably gonna do one every couple of weeks. um, but in general, it was more. Um, yeah. uh, the PC is a little bit different because people use it for productivity reasons as well. Um, but most people didn't have two consoles. Now, if I go on forums, it seems that everyone bought a PS4 And most people that have a PS4 also have an Xbox One X. They bought it for the power, which is fine. But I mean, at the same time, um, I find it's a lot of money. Think of it. Even though you got it at a reduced price, you bought the initial machine at $599 or $499, and you buy a second one at what, at a reduced price? Let's say 300, $299. That's still almost $700 of your money, or $600 out of your money, plus the games you're going to be playing, plus it's just I don't know. I'm of the opinion that I'm set in this or like this ecosystem for me, and it works. Um, if I had a choice between PC and Xbox, I would probably choose a PC if I could. I don't have a gaming PC per se. Yeah, there's a ton of people that have both, especially currently this generation. It kind of started with the Xbox 360 generation, where a lot of people love the games on the Xbox 360, but they wanted a Blu-ray player. So they kind of went, eh. um, and that's kind of where it started. Before that, it was at least my my initial reaction was like it seemed to have been rarer at that time. So if that's the case and that's the trend, what is the next generation going to be for the PS5 and Project Scarlet and for the Switch 2 or whatever? Um, you know, there's there's not as many consoles per se. There's periods of time where there were consoles all over the place. You had the Mega Drive, you had the Mega Drive and Genesis were the same. You had the TurboGrafx 16, and there were a bunch of random like RCA gaming consoles, Sega Saturn. Like there's a bunch of different consoles that happened at the same time. Now you kind of only have three main ones plus PC, which PC has always been a gaming console. Um, but there's only three main ones, and it seems that most of them have. And to be honest, Hey Weasel Beast, how's it going? The Weasel has landed. Um, so yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna be because in this generation, I admit that I bought the Switch and I have an Xbox One, and I got a Switch from one of my coworkers because I wanted to play Breath of the Wild, and to be honest, I wanted to play Super Mario Maker 2, which has been phenomenally fun. I can't get enough of it. I'm good. I'm good. It's the first one. It's the return of the Corporate Gamer podcast after a 2 year absence. So, um, so yeah, I'm thinking. I don't know how the next generations are gonna go. Now there's a lot of podcasts that are going, "Ooh, PlayStation 5 is gonna have this," and "Ooh, Project Scarlet's gonna have this," and "Ooh." I don't know what I'm gonna buy. I'm probably gonna go more Xbox only because again, this this controller is the perfect controller for me. I've played with this controller since the 360, and they made a few modifications, but in general, it's the same form factor. It's amazing, and I love it. And I use it on my PC gaming as well. So it's not like something that um, it's not something that I'm going to like let go or let go easily. It took me a long time. I had a PS4 for a while, and I tried to play Battlefield 3, I think, and I could not get used to the freaking controls. And I think it's because my brain just reacts better to an Xbox controller. It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, and I'm old, so I'm sticking to this for now. Um, and also, there was a few things that attracted me to this. Um, it's funny because the last generation PlayStation, you were able to hook up an HD drive, but the not the Xbox. I don't know towards the end of the lifespan, but I know the Xbox you couldn't plug in uh, an external hard drive. This generation, you'd figure that PlayStation, they were like, it's a feature they had, and they did really well. Um, and it was released day one, but nope, there was no hard drive support for the PS4, but yet the Xbox One had it. So The only thing that's a little bit wishy-washy right now, it's keyboard support. Technically, it's something that's on its way. There's a few games that utilize it, but it's not there yet. I mean, to be honest, it's a mini computer at this point. However, the Xbox One X is a very cheap 4K machine to play games. Um, yeah, obviously it's not a productivity tool. There's nothing on there. You're not going to be editing videos or doing word things on there. But if you were going to buy a 4K capable PC and you compare that to an Xbox One X, it's relatively cheap. Um, Same thing for the PS virtual reality. Um, it's relatively cheap compared to the Oculus or the Vive. Um, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. The only thing I'm expecting them to announce at one point is VR support next generation. However, um, Xbox has said that Phil Spencer has said that they don't feel that they can really do it because of no one is being able to do it properly and do it right. So until they do it, they're able to do it right. They're not going to do it. All right. Um, I'm surprised that actually PlayStation hasn't let go um, of that part of their branching of the PS4 and the PS4 Pro. Um, they keep releasing games for VR, and it keeps coming out. And at the beginning, it was more just it wasn't really games. It was more experimenting with like areas and locations and stuff. But now there's more and more people are getting familiar with the SDK. I'm assuming, and they're getting more creative in what they can do, and they're kind of getting more familiar with the technology. And you have more better and better games getting released for VR, especially on the PlayStation. So um, they may be onto something there. You know, Xbox has some stuff up their sleeve, but they're not doing anything with it. So I don't know what they're going to be doing. You can have all the powerful machines in the world, but the games have to be there. They have bought quite a few game studios, which um, which I think is going to be really really good. Um, um, I don't know about that. I mean, Xbox I think is there for the long haul. They have the superior services for sure. Not because I'm an Xbox guy, but in general, it's a smoother service than it is on the PS. However, the PS is winning the war this generation. Nintendo is nowhere close to being getting out of the game. They're not going to get out of the game. They're on top of their game right now. They made a they did a hit with the Wii. They flopped with the Wii U, and now with the Switch, they made it a something even better. So the only thing that's hurting them is the power, and that's hurting probably some third party support. But they are getting third party support as much as the games are not as polished as they are on other systems. Nintendo has been good in releasing some good third party games, and it hasn't slowed down. And their first party games are still A1. Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey. When they get to release Metroid, they went back to the drawing board for Metroid because they didn't like what they were seeing. But when they do release that, and there's an announcement for that. Oh boy. Okay, I will go knee deep. I think Sony are on the back foot, and mainly due to a lesser developed platform as opposed to Microsoft. Mm, they have more experience. The PlayStation 1 came out, what, in the mid 90s? Mid to late 90s? Um, Microsoft, they have, inadvertently, they make games for two platforms. Essentially, they have the PC market because of Windows, and they have the Xbox One. And eventually, I have a feeling both are going to merge. That's it. They have the thing about Microsoft is they have a way of fucking up. You can see how Windows is the perfect example. There's always one version of Windows that sucks, And then the next one is the previous version, but done the way it was supposed to be done. You had the Windows XP, great console. Everybody was loving it. Everybody was going awesome. Lasted years. Then they came out with Windows Vista, and then everybody was like, "What?" It was really bloated. It was insane. A lot of crashes. Peripherals didn't work. It was a clusterbuck of poop. Um, then after that, they had Windows 7, which was done Vista done right. They took out all the bloatware. They did everything fine. Okay, whatever. Then they came out with Windows 8 and 8.1, which was okay, but they screwed up. The tiling thing didn't work, whatever. And now they came out Windows 10. And Windows 10 is what? It's Windows 10, Windows 8 done right. So they have a tendency of doing that with everything. And this generation, they acknowledge that they screwed up. They know where they screwed up, and they're not going to make that mistake again. So I think by them buying a lot of them, and I'm going to be playing a game in a couple of weeks, probably starting next Friday, The Outer Worlds, which is made by Obsidian. Unfortunately, the game being was worked on before the Microsoft bought them off, but it's one of those games where I think it's going to start setting up the space for games, first party games getting out on the platform. And the fact that Microsoft bought all those gaming companies tells me they're not getting out of the game anytime soon. And you are right. If you're looking at the three major consoles, if you look at the three major consoles, the one that seems most likely to fold would probably be PlayStation. Because Nintendo's not going to get out of the game. Xbox, I mean, you don't buy gaming companies gaming studios just to freaking not do anything with them. So yeah, PlayStation but they have their own studios as well, and they're thriving, and they're doing really good content on that platform. You have to commend them for that. They've been really doing really well. There's some games that look wickedly awesome. The Last of Us, um, Spider-Man. Although Spider-Man is the mechanics of it seem very similar, at least in my eyes, to Assassin's Creed Odyssey. But it's a beautiful game, and it's an awesome game. And it's also a game that lasts quite a while, so it's actually pretty cool. Sorry, I missed your last Weasel. I missed your last point. Case in point, Microsoft Flight Sim leveraging clustered computing for world complexity and leaving localized physics, etc., to the CPU. And something tells me Scorpion is going to push that same idea. Yeah. Yeah, probably. We'll see how that goes. I think that this was a blip. I think Xbox learned from their mistakes. They changed the head guy. It's Phil Spencer now. He seems to really have gaming at heart. And the thing that I love about him, and a lot of people criticize him for, he's a fan of games. He'll play the PlayStation, he'll play the Switch, he'll play the PC. He likes games. And because of that, his platform will eventually benefit from that. And we'll see his real stamp the next generation. He did put his stamp on this generation by doing certain services, doing backwards compatibility with the original Xbox games. And I think that was just done strictly for the criticism that there wasn't enough first party games. So they tried to open up the library a little bit, which is fine. Whatever the reason was, I think it's a fan favorite. So you're opening up, and now PlayStation also jumped on board and said, "Oh, you'll be able to play all of our games from all our systems." Is that going to be true or not? I don't know, but see how that goes. It will be an emulator. Will you be able to play it straight from the disc? I don't know. We'll have to see. All right, so that was my discussion between So all that to say, it seems that the tendency to go back to my original point I was trying to make, people are getting. It's really a consumer market. You don't reach levels of 100 million consoles or 50 million consoles by having one console per household. That's insane. People have two, three in some cases. They play everything that comes out. I don't know how people play everything that comes out. It's insane. However, if the tendency continues, it seems that it will drag on to the next generation of consoles. And next generation, you're going to have the ones that buy, the fanboys that are going to buy whatever they're. I'm not even going to buy the next generation right off the bat. I'm going to wait. Only because um, I'm going to wait because there's always glitches and stuff like that. But right now, I probably would be leaning towards an Xbox One, or the next Xbox Two, whatever, or Xbox Scarlet. PS5, I'm sure is going to be great. There's a lot of people that love the PS and their PS, and the same reasons why I like the Xbox is the same reasons that some people like the PlayStation, and it's fine. Competition is great, and that's why we get so many great games. And I already did write an article on a roundtable. I know, cheap plug, um, about how um, the movie industry, how the gaming industry is becoming very, very similar to the gaming industry, the movie industry. Sorry, there's a lot of similarities between both, and where the movie industry took 100 years to get to where it is, the gaming industry took 30, and it's gotten to a point where some of these games are big budget affairs, and it's pretty intense. So yeah, that's it. The next, so let me know. Let me know in the chat if you guys are gonna planning on getting more than one console, getting any console at all, sticking to PC. Let me know, and we can discuss it later. Last but not least, I wanted to compare. It's one thing that I've pretty much said during my um, uh, my I don't know why it's not loading. Loading. It's something that I did mention in my gaming playthroughs is especially the fact that I just played Metro Exodus. I don't know why my thing is not loading. Oh, that's loading. That's weird. Okay. Um, um, I've compared Wolfenstein Youngblood and Metro Exodus very often. And the reason for this is I find that both of them have a lot of similarities, just that I find one game implemented it really, really well, and the other game implemented it really, really badly. Um, I'm trying to see if I can get Metro Exodus. So let's start with Metro Exodus. So I played Metro Exodus first, and Metro Exodus is a game that is there we go. Is a game that is really fun to play, and to give you a little bit of context, um, Metro is a post-apocalyptic game based out of Russia, or Moscow for that matter, and it's played mainly. The first few games are played mainly in the Metro channels. That's why it's called Metro, and the reason for that is because there's been an apocalyptic. There was a bomb. It destroyed everything. Tell me if you've heard this before, because it seems very similar to Fallout, except it's not in the States. But it's a very linear type of game, and it plays. Whoops. It's a very linear game, and it plays in a way that's, um, um, very close, claustrophobic. The only way I can describe it is maybe it's a cross between Dead Space 1, um, Aliens, the Aliens movie. It's a closed area space horror. It's not even a space horror. It's just a horror. A lot of jump scares, especially the first one had a lot of jump scares. Um, so it's actually cool. You play the character of Artyom, and you're basically the first one is based on the Dark Ones, um, more or less. You're trying to survive through the metro tunnels. The second one, Last Light, is you're trying to save one of the last Dark Ones. Um, so that's fine. The third one was an original idea. It was um, a bit of a different direction for the game. It was a little bit more open world. It was I call it a full open world. It's an open world where you can go and check a bunch of different things, but the storyline is still linear in a sense that you still have to go from point A to point B. However, you can scavenge around and you can find a lot of different things. So the maps are a little bit different. And you play in Metro Exodus. You play essentially 4 seasons, 4 maps: winter, spring, fall, summer, and fall. And then you have the ending and so on and so forth. So it's a little bit of an open concept game. It's open world. It's a little bit more open world. You're still playing the main character. The storytelling is done really, really, really well. So now on to Wolfenstein Youngblood. If you don't know what Wolfenstein is, basically Wolfenstein is a post-apocalyptic world where basically the premise is an alternative storyline to if the Nazis would have won World War II, what would have happened. So that's basically the games go all the way back to the 1980s, but for the new reboot series that came out a few years ago, Wolfenstein 1, The Old Blood, Wolfenstein 2, and now Wolfenstein Youngblood. Wolfenstein Youngblood takes place in 1980s, and essentially it's a very similar, not premise, but the idea is similar. The first games in the reboot series are very linear. Point A to point B, shoot everything in your path. Exploration is done to a minimum. You can explore a bit, but it's not really. It's very, very linear. In Wolfenstein Youngblood, they decide to open it up a little bit more and have another full world. And I think personally, there's two key things that really stand out of why I like Metro Exodus over Wolfenstein Youngblood. Wolfenstein Youngblood, well, let's start with Metro Exodus. Metro Exodus has an amazing storyline, and the writing is phenomenal. You have, it's just the way you connect with the characters, the way you play with the characters. Even in the first few games, you feel, and especially Wolfenstein 2, I think is the epitome of the writing of that particular part. And Metro Exodus, it's throughout the whole thing. Metro Exodus has great writing throughout the whole thing. And what Exodus kind of expanded on that, and you got you kind of learned how relationships work and how you work with Colonel Miller and everything else. So you have this rapport. So the main focus is the action, but you do have this storytelling ability in there. And they continued within Metro Exodus. They didn't break away from that. You still feel really, really cool. And even to even put an accent on that, basically, I played the DLC, and the DLC, The Two Colonels, is a very, very short game. It's super short. It's like 2.5 hours, I think. I played one night and I was done. I expected it to be longer, but however, in that short period of time, I'm not going to give too much away of it, but basically, it's a flashback. You're playing a flash. It's called The Two Colonels because the main story, the cutscenes, are with, most of the time they're with Colonel Miller, but the gameplay is in the past. It's basically flashback, and you're playing Colonel Kafinikov, something along those lines, and basically you go through his eyes of what he did in order to get to that certain point, right, in the game, and you're basically playing through him. But even in that little part, I had a connection to him. I had a connection to Kirill, which is a small boy that you first meet in Metro Exodus main storyline, but he's also a really big part of the DLC as well. And there's that rapport. It's the dad and son thing, and it's really done really, really well. I really felt for these guys, and I really wanted to make sure that they succeed, and it's a happy ending at the end. Let's move over to Wolfenstein. Very similar to Metro Exodus that I mentioned before, they were very linear games, but there was a really good storyline attachment to the character. I think the first one a little bit less, Wolfenstein. There is a feeling for it, and I did playing it again made me appreciate it more. You do feel attached to the characters, but you feel he's more of a loner, BJ Blazkowicz. The second game is where I think it's the epitome of storytelling for the Wolfenstein series. They made it so that it's action packed, amazing storyline, and I felt for the characters. Awesome. So I was really looking forward to Wolfenstein Youngblood. The premise was a little bit weird. When I saw it, premiered, it was you're playing as a co-op and so on. Okay, fine. The co-op part I didn't really mind as much, as long as you remove the online version of it. Because if you get somebody that plays a game and they're just an a-hole, it's sucky to fucking play. And when you die in this game, it's fucking punishing because you have to start all the way back, and there's no. They should have had some save states, but they didn't, and that's a shame. I think, yeah, I don't think this one had save states. Metro Exodus had one save slot, which is not enough, but at least it's better than none. However, in this game, I had zero attachment to the characters, and that's my number one point. I couldn't care less for the sisters, for BJ Blazkowicz's kids. I could not care less for them. They were annoying. I understand it was based out of the 80s and they tried to do 80s things and there's, whatever. There were elements of the game I really did like, but the two main protagonists where you're supposed to have a connection with, I just could not get into their character. I was actually happy when I was done. The other thing, so basically the rapport that you have with the characters or the attachment you feel to the characters, that was the number one big difference, which was on the favor of Metro Exodus. The second one was level design. And let me explain. With Metro Exodus, you never had to redo a same section over and over and over again. You never had to. It just felt like the story was going along, and if you had a side quest, you had a side quest. It was more of an open world concept. This one, they were saying it's an open world for Wolfenstein. However, when I played them, it was really annoying. And if you watched my playthrough, you saw that I was getting really frustrated. You have like certain missions that you do. So I don't know. Let's say I go to Area 1. Okay, I go through it. You would expect if I go through it and I kill everyone, if freaking everyone dies. No. When I come back, I have to kill the exact same people in the same spots. So that everybody respawns. That would be fine if I would do that once. I had to do it at least a dozen times. Where I went through the same area, but the objective was different. So I had to go through the same area, the same freaking enemies, the same robots. They respond at the same time. At one point, it was just, okay, I know how to beat them. Shoot this guy in the head. Shoot this. Like, it became cumbersome to play the game. And although you don't have to do anything in any one sequence, which is the open world part, the way the level design was made was done so that the player gets annoyed really, really fast. Now, it's possible that I didn't play it properly, and I could have played it a little bit better way. But that's where Wolfenstein Youngblood lost me, and Metro Exodus won me. Like, I really wanted to play Wolfenstein 3, but after this Youngblood, I'm actually hesitant to play Wolfenstein 3. I may actually wait to buy it, whereas Wolfenstein Youngblood, I bought it day one, because I really wanted to play it, and I really thought that it would be cool. And I didn't mind the co-op stuff, whatever. There's some parts where make it a little the AI makes it a little bit more difficult. Whatever, I don't care. But these two games relatively came out around the same time. This one came out July 26th. This one came out February 15th. So the same year. Um, but I'm willing to pay the DLC for Exodus. Not sure I'm going to buy it for Youngblood. And the multiplayer part of Youngblood, I couldn't care less. Um, so we'll see how that goes with that particular game. I hope that Wolfenstein 3 does reinvigorate, goes back to its roots. Because I think what happened is, I think they were testing stuff with Wolfenstein Youngblood. And I said this on my streams as well. And I said this for Fallout as well. Um, they were testing stuff with this one. They would have seen what sticks, and then the elements that stick would be moved over to Wolfenstein 3. I think it kind of, not sure about it. I don't sure what worked or not. Um, but I did like the 80s theme of it, so I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Um, Metro Exodus, I think it's a series that the only thing I would hope that it would do with Metro Exodus is bring back the Dark Ones. They were the focal point of Wolfenstein. They were the focal point of Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light. Metro Exodus has nothing to do with the Dark Ones. It's basically the premise is you're trying to get out of Moscow, essentially, and it's whatever adventures you're on. Um, it looked really good. Metro Exodus looked really good. Wolfenstein Youngblood, it had elements that were okay, but by the end of it, I wanted it to end. And I don't think I would go back to it. So that's the main comparison. So there's two main difference: the rapport between the attachment you have with the main characters and the game design, the level design. I think was shoddy. Um, and there's no save. So I learned this after I played, and I didn't even find this on the net because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, there's no save." There is a save, but it's hidden. So the only way you can save, and I guess this is a tip, if you play Wolfenstein Youngblood, there's no way to actually save the game. You either have to finish a section, and then you get a save thing icon, and then it saves the progress and whatever. If you die before then, you go back to the beginning, you have to start again. However, if you pick up a huge machine gun, a turret that's on its stand, and you unhinge it, the game saves. Why? I have no clue. I realized that towards the end of the game, which would have made my game a lot easier if I was able to save at certain points. Um, Also, the resurgent of the enemies were horrendous. So I just kept thinking I'm doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. At one point, it just became so repetitive. I just wanted to stop. And I would really hope they would go back to their, number one bread and butter Wolfenstein 1 and 2. So, all that to say, I really love Metro Exodus. I like the DLC. The DLC review will be coming out on Sunday. Um, Although it's very short, I really enjoyed it. Um, did I give a rating for this? No, I just said that I recommend it. Yeah. So, yeah. Before this game, I actually thought Metro and Wolfenstein were very similar in the sense that it's a first person shooter, it's very linear. But now it's starting to diverge a little bit, and maybe it's Wolfenstein just made a misstep, and they're going to learn from the mistakes, and they're going to do better. I'm hoping Machine Games does a little bit better, and even Arcane Studios. But they did do very well with the first three games in the series: Wolfenstein 1, The Old Blood, and Wolfenstein 2. This one was a misstep. Metro Exodus really hasn't done a misstep, really. You may not agree with the direction they went with, but it wasn't a bad game all over. So It's not that bad. So let me know what you guys think. I don't know how many people have actually played both. I know you guys followed my channel, and some of you actually um, watched my playthroughs. Um, so let me know what you guys think, and I shall comment it like next time. So I think this is it. 2 hours in, actually, 2 hours on the money. Not too bad. Um, the first episode of the reboot of the Corporate Gamer podcast is in the bank. Let me know in the comments on my channel, on Twitter, on Facebook. You have my website on the screen right now, aroundtable.ca, where I review TV, music, and movies with my brother and my good friend Steve. Um, I do a lot of the retro reviews and a lot of the gaming reviews. They do more of the newer stuff. My brother takes care of the website, more or less. If you guys are intrigued and you like the website, you can go to the sign up page and you can sign up with your name and email address, and you will get every 2 weeks you will get a newsletter in your email about how what the news of that caught our eye, the reviews, our latest reviews, and anything. You can leave a comment if you want to as well. So if you guys want to do that, sign up here, and you will get a newsletter every 2 weeks. And also, I'm on Twitter at CorporateGamer9. I'm also on Instagram at Corporate Gamer, and I am on YouTube as well. Just search for Corporate Gamer, and you shall get my channel. Subscribe. My podcast will be on both Twitch, and I will upload to at least temporarily, and see where I work out all the kinks, and this will be uploaded to YouTube. Once I'm more comfortable, I'll probably get my podcast up on iTunes and maybe Google Play as well. So, guys, thank you so much for passing by on my first podcast in 2 years. Really appreciate the comments. It's more than I expected. I wanted to thank everybody that hosted me: Big Bag Bizarre Gaming, Overwriter, Wasteland Ruckus, Engineering Gaming Nerd, Psychosis, Angry Gorilla, Mr. Garf 1988, Gallows Adler, Got to Choose, Switchy, and the Integer, Real Life Dinosaur, and Creative Dude. Thank you so much for hosting me. Thank you to whoever passed by on the stream to say hello or give your comments. Wasteland, as usual, thank you so much. I don't know why I'm pointing there because I think usually my camera's there. Thank you so much for the support. Weasel Beast, thank you again for passing by. Real Life Dinosaur, Psychosis, Death by Cows, um, Gallows Adler. I said Psych. What else? Psych is there. Switchy. CoinOp was here before. You guys are awesome. You guys make this thing really, really fun. I've been wanting to do this for a while. There are some times where I will probably have some guests on, some of you maybe, and we can discuss different things. We'll have to. I just want to get comfortable doing this first, and then I'll probably start getting some guests and having a discussion on how things could work. So we'll get that done. All right, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful Friday night. Hope that you guys have a wonderful weekend. I will be back on Sunday doing retro stuff. I know I didn't do it last week, but I will be back. I will be back doing, I don't know, probably Wolfenstein again. We'll see how that goes. But I am thinking of streaming Fallout 2. I've been watching a few people streaming that on Twitch, and I was like, that's a challenge I'd like to have. So I may actually do that. So, all right, guys, have a wonderful weekend. I shall catch you next time. Podcast will be every Friday night, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. And hope that you guys have a wonderful night. Have a good one, guys. Ciao.